Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a great Monday morning. We're going to start the morning off here with
电量
Robert
过低，
Murray
请充
quick
电。
videos so we can learn something today. The name of his videos is called TNT, Thinking and Tinkering. Enjoy.
Hi, so in a previous video, we made this stuff, it's zinc iodide. Now, we made it in a bit of a rush, so there was an excess of iodine. You can see it's got a kind of yellowish colour. If yours does that, add a bit more zinc, it'll go clear again. But we can use it just like this. It just has a sort of charge state to it. So we've got some zinc iodide, and we're going to make a gravity battery out of it. Now, we have done this before in previous videos, all broken up, and I thought I'd do this in one-shot video. So what we need is a container, the electrolyte, an anode, and a cathode. To make the anode, it's a piece of cake. It's a bit of zinc, and I've got a bit of zinc foil here. Now, the iodine's heavy, so it's going to drop to the bottom. So this bit needs to be on the top, obviously, and we need the cathode on the bottom. To make the cathode, we've got a bit of copper mesh here, and then we need to wrap that in plastic. This is carbon black-filled high-density polyethylene, which is conductive and protective, because the halide will just attack the copper. So we need to put something conductive and protective around that to stop that happening. And this stuff, HDPE, is relatively immune, I say relatively, to halogens. Now, each halogen has its own quirks, of course, and iodine has a great affinity for carbon. So what I've got here is a bit of filter cloth. This is from an air filter, and it's an activated carbon cloth. So there is my cathode with the plastic wrapped around it, heat sealed on with an ordinary household iron, and then I've run the iron over a bit of the carbon cloth to give me a square of carbon on the bottom. You don't need to do that. It does make it a little bit better and traps the iodine in the pores of the carbon. I have been through this before when we did a bromine battery, and you'll see that on the members channel. There's exactly how to make the cathode, but that is the cathode, and we just stick the cathode, remember, in the bottom because that's where the iodine is going to be, and then we can add our electrolyte. Now we can add our zinc to the top section, and we're ready to go. Okay, that's it, ready to go. All I've got to do is stick the zinc in. Because that's yellow, it's got a bit of iodine in there. That test motor right there is going to start immediately. I stick that in. There you go. I'll give you a close-up. Okay, in, out, in, out, in, out. I've watched several adult movies where people do that for about 15 minutes or so. Okay, to charge it, the zinc is the negative, the carbon is the positive, 1.2 volts, and it will charge. There we go, charging away. Now, it is a plating battery, so what will happen is the zinc will go on to the negative and the iodine will collect on the positive. And plating is actually more about current than it is about voltage. So you can actually whack that right the way up. There we go, I'm putting an amp now at 5.6 volts in. And what it's doing is depositing the zinc and depositing the iodine. Now, the zinc will form dendrites at that kind of voltage, but those dendrites will drop off to the bottom and react. What they'll represent is loss of energy input. But the dendrite itself doesn't cause short circuiting in a battery like this, which is pretty cool. And if we look very closely, we can actually see the iodine forming right there as a dark purple cloud. If we then turn that off and reconnect it to the motor, that motor is going to zip along. Because we just banged a ton of energy in it. Now, it is working by diffusion, so diffusion does happen, which is why they have a relatively high self-discharge, which we talked about in the previous video. But the energy is actually stored in the electrolyte. The electrodes are responsible for the amount of amps it can give out. The amps it can give out is related to the surface area. The overall energy is the volume of electrolyte that you've put in there. The voltage it discharges at is 1.2 volts. The voltage you charge it at, if you want to be gentle, is 1.2, but you can over voltage it if you like to a massive degree, but you will lose energy because, of course, it will be uneven plating. bits will drop off, and that will represent losses. So zinc iodide chemistry is a really well-known chemistry. If you have a look on Google Scholar, you'll find lots of information about it. Lithium iodide is the batteries of choice for pacemakers. If you trap all of the iodine, of course, you won't have a battery because you're going to have the iodine movement. Otherwise, there's no reaction. No reaction, no battery. So it's always going to be a playoff between the two. Disadvantages of this is they're small electrodes given the volume we've got, and they're quite far apart. So the effective series resistance is going to be relatively high. And of course, when you have a high ESR, you lose out in terms of energy. We already talked about zinc dendrites, and when that drops, another loss in energy. So there is going to be a degree of Coulomb inefficiency here, but then you pays the piper, you to make sure choice, as they're saying, doesn't go, and we can live with that in certain circumstances. Remember, these batteries where they shuttle are best under full load condition. As long as it's always attached to a load, actually it's relatively unimportant. If you use intermittent load, like you swap onto it every now and then, you'll lose quite a lot because of that self-discharge problem, which is one of the things that is a lot of research is going into ameliorating that, so that these will become much more of a viable battery alternative where you're going to leave it sitting around. So you don't find these used in cars very much for that very reason. Obviously, the next thing to do with it was somehow slow down that ion exchange. But that is another example of what is actually a pretty good gravity battery. Super easy to make, so you don't have that challenge of repeating lots of things all at the same time. You get yourself a big tub, fill it with zinc iodide, you're going to have a battery. Anyway, when I was asked to do this, I hope it helps. I hope you've enjoyed the series of videos. I'll probably do something on gelling it. Thank you very much for watching. You might notice this is still zipping along.
Introducing Final Press. It directly brews coffee in your mug to eliminate any mess. You'll no longer need complicated
Hi everybody, so in video 1833 we use a simple method to make this. What this is graphene in water. Then we centrifuged it and dried it to get ourselves this, and this is graphene powder. It's a very special graphene powder actually, because it's coated in protein molecules. And what that does is keep everything apart and stops the graphene going back to graphite. It also means that it's easier to break up and it's easier to put into other things. But you can't just put this into something and stir it with a stick, because the real problem is dispersion. That is, getting it mixed properly, and that's quite challenging. Now, if we want to put this into plastic, we need to use a process called master batching. Master batching is a complicated process because it's so difficult to break everything up properly to get proper dispersion, and companies go to a lot of trouble when it comes to master batching. They pour in the virgin plastic, they pour in the color or other additives, give it a jolly good stir before they extrude it into pellet form. When you've done that, then you can get a good plastic with a good dispersion. If we're looking for improvement in strength, of course, we need that graphene to be well dispersed throughout the plastic. Now, we can't really do that without some expensive machinery. So we sent this off to a master batcher. And then we had it extruded into standard dog bones for testing.
Add graphene into anything and it makes it stronger. So what we have here is the graphene peak, which we actually sent to the University of Limerick in Ireland. And they tested this for us. And they, in their own words, it was unbreakable. And what they actually meant was their machines failed before our plastic did. Okay, so what we have here is the graphene peak in a dog bone. So we put a nice little hook on here, and a split.
It's just had a little bit of plastic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Mate, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, I'm getting off.
Okay. What?
That's awesome.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, indeed.
Take two. The actual strap broke, so we've actually had to reinforce the strap. But my 17 stone hopefully won't break. Wow, that is awesome. Jump on, mate. Come on.
Go on.
Come on.
Yeah, you get on first, mate. I'll join you.
Okay.
You alright?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it broke it again.
It broke.
Well, I'm 12 stone, okay?
Right, well, actually, the screw fell this time.
The screw? No way!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Look at that, that's actually stronger than that steel.
What's it done?
It's broke the hook out broke it out. And broke it off. There's the end broken off.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's astonishing stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point of those shenanigans, well, you mix the graphene in properly to a plastic, and the properties are truly astounding. And we have had this stuff tested, so we do have some test figures, but there's nothing like getting a feel for it by swinging on it and not having it break. Everything else breaks around it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and please do remember to like and subscribe. Energy is essential to life and all living organisms. And to sustain our way of living, we need more and more of it. The big question, where do we get it all from? Of course, directly or indirectly, the source of all available energy on Earth, well, it's the sun. So where better to get the energy to fulfill our needs than from solar? History tells us that in the 7th century BCE, solar energy was used. People used sunlight to light fires with magnifying materials, and later in the 3rd century BC, the Greeks and the Romans were known to harness solar power with mirrors to light torches for religious ceremonies. These mirrors became a normal tool and were referred to as burning mirrors. Chinese civilization documents the use of these mirrors for the same purpose later in 20 AD. Another early use for solar energy that's still popular today was the concept of sunrooms in buildings. The sunrooms used massive windows to direct the sunlight into one concentrated area. And some of the iconic Roman bathhouses, typically those situated on the south-facing side of buildings, were sunrooms. Later, in the 1200s AD, ancestors to the Pueblo Native Americans, known as the Anazi, situated themselves on south-facing adobes on cliffs to capture the sun's warmth during the cold winter months. So what I'm saying is that solar, particularly solar thermal, has been with us for centuries. The thing is, we're sporadic. We don't make much use of it, and then we have a huge effort to make a lot of use of it, and then it
简充
There you
电
go. It's working now.
Now I can hear you. How you doing, Larry? What's happening?
It's a new day. I'm not sure why I'm getting feedback, so
Oh, well.
hang
I
on.
just
So how you been doing, man?
Pretty good. Pretty keeping busy, running back and forth to the hospital, see my girlfriend.
What's she in there for?
That was a foot surgery.
Oh, okay. How'd that turn out?
Wonderful. She's getting out in a couple weeks.
Good. I'm gonna try to make it so I don't hear feedback.
So what am I, living proof there's life outside of YouTube, or I don't know. What is it? Anyway, I put out a couple silly videos. One where the thunderstorm took out the train. We were delayed like an hour. Strange weather. How about you, Larry? You're not sleeping, are you? I didn't comb my hair. I probably don't care. I lost you. No sound.
充电
Yeah, my thing is turning off for some reason.
We're starting to talk to you. Where's Shy? Is Shy? Are you just came on, or what happened? First to Larry.
充电
See if there's anything left of this. What'd you do? I'm gonna put you. You know what he says up there? It says, my favorite hobbies are smoking herb and going hunting for rabbits with my dog. And he's got eggplants and a cat. Hi, Shy. Long time no see. Last week, maybe.
Yeah, I've been. Wait a minute. Let me.
You've been out causing trouble, no doubt, right? I'm kidding.
Oh, it's about that.
It's not funny. I know how they
I
treat
came in
people.
real fast to make sure you didn't have Brian O'Shea's dad as the picture still.
Oh, well, mute mine for a second.
充电
Echo. Yeah, echo. Can you hear me, Larry? Can you hear me, sir? Nope. Yeah. You done flocked up, Larry. You done flocked up, Larry. Get it together, brother. Nah, that's not the button. Hey, Moose, can you hear me, Moose? Larry broke it. You broke it, Larry. You broke it. We hear some clicking. Un-
Oh no. I'm telling him he's muted. Meanwhile, I'm muted.
See, kind of muted just.
Yeah, the blind leading blind, or in this case, what, the deaf leading? Yeah, deaf and deafer. Must have been all them concerts back in the 70s. There, right?
It's about the headbang.
Yeah. I never forget Eliota Haynes and Jeremiah came down to frickin' Foster Beach in Chicago. That was it.
Okay.
The condo buildings, the skyscrapers called the police, and it took them 8 hours to clear us out.
You know, they doing it. Oh man, I can't. Can't do that.
That's why I put Down syndrome police officer video on my channel.
Is it me?
Bluetooth connected.
Your Bluetooth is connected.
Yeah, that's Larry.
I got my Doctor Who t-shirt on.
All right.
You know, he had a cat that got the time machine ready in the telephone booth there for him, you know.
Okay. I gotta check that video out.
What? I got Down syndrome. I don't know. My stepson sent them to me.
Okay.
He's younger and crazier than me. He's got too many. But I put out a couple of good ones, you know. The one that, why'd you pull you over? Because I'm black, you know, stuff like that. Because you're black. The other one.
Testing.
You know, with all the serious stuff, I got to switch to comedy. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
We trying to get there. Is you?
He's now giving thanks to the microphone gods or something.
Is your YouTube?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's not Larry. It's Michael Stevens.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you. Everybody's having troubles today for some reason.
Is that it? I don't. My
Yours has this buzzing sound, and his has an echo.
I hear you now.
I know. Hang on.
Sounds like surgery.
Hey, are we in a submarine right now?
All right. How's that? Is that better?
No, bro.
You got you by the window in my bird sanctuary. So if it gets too loud, let me know.
Oh, it's not the bird sanctuary we're worried about. It's the fact that every time I talk, it like echoes back.
You all got iPhones or what's going on?
I've got headphones on, so it's when I mute you, it doesn't echo.
Yeah, it's almost going on 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Good morning.
So I got everything turned on. It doesn't matter. There's a little bit of noise. So I was waiting at the train station the other day, and I saw this like melted brick castle in the mountain. So I zoomed in what I could with the cell phone and with the mobile phone and took a picture of it. But I haven't processed it yet, or see if I can make it clear or whatever.
Okay.
It's amazing. Okay. I don't know if you guys notice this stuff popping up all over.
Somebody click line. Somebody click line. I'll be back.
I'm having all kinds of malfunctions today. Moose, are you still there? Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you. I'm still here. I just muted everything so you could do your checking and stuff. I guess I should leave the mic on at least. I don't know if you get the noise of the birds in the tree here.
Yeah, I can kind of hear something in the background. Yeah, I'm having all kinds of problems. I'm getting feedback. My mic working. Here you have the
What are you gonna do? End the stream and come back, or what?
I don't know what to do. Kind of weird.
It's over my head with the technology. I just learned how to do community post.
All right.
Wow.
We need to fix the audio though, because this is like painful.
Yeah, especially with the earbuds, I can imagine. Like
Hey,
Carrie.
Oh, he left.
Sounds like AI took a dump or something.
Yeah, I'm getting all kinds of words.
It's like, here you go, Larry.
Well, at least that's not the battle, right?
Sounds like RTDD2 or whatever the blew a fuse.
Hey, can you hang out just for a second? I think I'm gonna try to reboot.
Okay, do whatever. If I lose you, I'll come back if you go back on.
All right.
For a while.
I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm singing in the rain, singing in the rain. See, any minute now I'll be singing in the rain again. Wow. Look at those George Jetson skies. Wow. Be right back. I gotta go to the kitchen because it's no one first. Rise and shine and give God the glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God the glory, glory. Rise and shine and give
All
God.
right.
All right. You there?
Damn it, I'm still getting feedback. Maybe it's on your end.
Okay, I'll leave and come back. How's that?
All right, thank you. I don't know what's going on. I apologize. All kinds of damn malfunctions going on today, damn nabbit. Let's see if we can go back to our video. Damn. Hang on. All right, let's try that.
Sound better, no?
Oh, yeah, much better. I guess it was on your end.
No, you sound all messed up to me, Larry.
Now I sound messed up to you, huh? Is that any better?
You're delayed and you got the beep beep and RTD2 is taking a piss on your system.
Wow. You're just messing with us hard today, huh?
I don't know. No one's messing with me. Maybe it's my
feedback
on
your end.
I'll take responsibility. I got organ in the windowsill. I'm sitting in the smoking chair next to the window. Okay, la di da.
Yeah.
I found me an office chair where the handle thing to go up and down don't work that good. So I'm content leaning back. You know,
Yeah.
it's either that or the table chair or the bed.
Well, you sound fine now. Before I could hear me talking back and I could hear you talking back. So that was
Well, it's tricky on a freaking Android phone, but once I got the up and running the what do you call it? What do you call this? The live stream up in Chrome, the StreamYard. Then I had to go back and turn YouTube off.
right.
That's all. Like
Yeah,
what happened with what Shy showed me the last time,
right.
or was it the other guy, Moose? I had to actually turn YouTube off and then jump back, hit the button for Chrome again, and come back that way, or whatever browser you have. You know.
Right. So how was your weekend?
Well, I went and picked up teriyaki chicken wings and on Saturday and fried French fries, and I also made teriyaki chicken wings and rice. And I went to the rehab where they got my girlfriend in the rehab for the last almost 5 months now, and we had a picnic outside.
Oh, that's cool.
And you know, it was starting to rain. We ate inside. When we got outside, it's like, forget this. Let's go back inside. So we really pigged out. I mean, the order came with like 12 chicken wings, and I brought 4 more that were homemade with a small Tupperware rice. Anyway, and all the other little stuff, the little cakes and cookies. We just had a good time. Her girlfriend came by with her cigarettes and stuff. So yeah, we're her girlfriend and I. Everyone's happy that she's getting out because it's going on 6 months with the hospital and the rehab all together. It's going, it was a month in the hospital with the operation. You figure 2-3 months in rehab? No, it don't work that way. She's a lot young. She's younger. She's I think she's 50. Yeah, she's 57.
Yeah. You got to kind of wonder sometimes. It seems like they just try to stretch that shit out as long as possible so they can make as much fucking money as they can.
No, well, here, what can I tell you? It's socialized medicine for sure, But she has a disability, and they helped her by fixing the other problems that come with it, So yeah, it was a serious thing. You got to move the bones that were offset. They were wrong anyway, and now everything is in a different place. They can do a lot of stuff now. It's incredible. Sounds like it sounds like you're taking a EKG, Larry.
Sounds like what?
An EKG machine. Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, I heard that earlier. I don't know where that's coming from. I don't hear it now, though.
I wonder if anyone else come. What I'm going to do is maybe I'll go and chat and hang out for a bit and then come back, okay?
Yeah, I might. I'm going to check a couple more things out. If I can't get this under control, I might just end it.
All right, I'll watch a couple short videos or something and look for you again.
All right, yeah, I'll bring the video up.
So other than that, I'll take a nap later. No, I was going to I got a few things going, but nothing fantastic. All right, I'll catch you in a bit.
Answered at Medicare.gov.
Robert Murray Smith.
Falls by the wayside. You have to ask yourself why. Well, I would argue it's because solar is actually trouble. More trouble than easier options. And that's why. The only time we turn to solar is when those easier options become scarce or more difficult than solar. Now, for a very long time, of course, singly, the most important material for construction and energy, well, it was wood. So there was a time when people scoffed at the idea of a shortage of trees, but in the period from Elizabeth I to James I, that's 1534 to 1696, there was an event called the Great Clearance, where people mercilessly chopped down the trees. Why the deforestation? Well, it was the headlong rush into agriculture and industry and the growth of the population. From 1530 to 1690, the population doubled from 3 million to 6 million. And of course, a lot of people were rushing into London. At the end of 1690, the population of London was over 500,000 people, and that was a huge demand for construction and fuel. But during this time, the amount of land covered by forest fell to 3.6%, and of course, the price of timber rocketed up. Fear of running out of wood, of course, served as a huge impetus for the development of solar power as an energy source. By the 1700s and 1800s, researchers and scientists had had huge success using sunlight to power ovens for long voyages. They also harnessed the power of the sun to produce solar-powered steamboats. Now, it probably culminated with Augustin Mouchot, who demonstrated a solar collector with a cooling engine and made ice cream at the 1878 Universal Exhibition in Paris, and that was quickly followed by the Ericsson engine in 1868. Now, the first installation of solar thermal energy equipment was at Schumann, 1910, when he ran a steam engine from the steam produced by sunlight using parabolic reflectors.
Did you know you can generate an endless supply of power simply from the ground beneath you? Well, you can, and it's easier than you might think. It's the perfect off-the-grid energy source to power your home, especially in case of an emergency.
Of course, it didn't happen. We turned to coal. Small quantities of coal had been burned in Europe since the 12th century, in areas where it had been accessible from outcropping seams. But medieval craftsmen turned up their noses at coal fires because of the smoke and the fumes. It tarnished their wares. And then that all changed. By the time of the Civil War in the 1640s, Londoners depended on coal to heat their homes despite the grime, and coastal shipments grew 20 times between 1550 and 1700. And of course, coal, with improvements in coal technology in the way of burning it and using it, came to dominate the industrial landscape of Britain. And it could arguably be said that coal was one of the main reasons for the success of the Industrial Revolution. Of course, coal continued its dominance until the discovery and widespread use of oil. In the 50s, there was a huge explosion of interest, again, in solar and solar thermal. Now, my argument is that this only happens when there's a fuel crisis because solar's a pain. So what was the fuel crisis? Well, the war. The war had just ended, and of course, all of the production had been sent to the front. Domestic consumption was held back for the war effort, and this continued. Now, at the end of the war, an awful lot of soldiers came back home, and they came back home to a very different world, but they had sacrificed. They had died, and they wanted a home of peace. So there was a huge building campaign because soldiers were basically living in camps. That building campaign meant that there was a need for energy. The war effort and the recovery from the war effort, while Europe rebuilt itself, meant there was no oil. And that created a fuel crisis from about 1947 through to about 1956, when everybody focused on solar. Solar PV was extremely early stage stuff. People had theorized, but it wasn't until 1916 when the first experimental evidence for the photovoltaic effect was produced. And it wasn't until 1932 when cadmium selenide showed the same effect, and the first solar cell was built by Audebert and Storer. It was in 1954 that the first silicon solar cells were built, and they were only 4% efficient. So solar photovoltaics were in their early stage development and not that much use. Solar thermal, though, it had centuries behind it. And it was in 1947 that Liberty Owens and Ford Glass Company produced a book called Your Solar House, which predominantly was a guide to solar architectures and the use of solar thermal. In 1956, there was a World Symposium of the Practical Use of Solar Energy held in Phoenix, Arizona, and it was reported in the April edition of Popular Mechanics, again in 1956. And what they featured were a whole load of solar thermal devices. Things like solar cookers, solar ovens, solar distillation. Solar distillation was by Maria Telkes, and it was produced in the war for the emergency desalination of seawater for downed pilots. And she was reported to have saved many, many lives. She's also credited with the creation of the first solar thermal system using a phase change material, which was Glauber's salt, as it happens. So what happened to it all? Well,
This is bullshit. Hello? Alright. Alright. I think we got it working now. Oh. I'm really sorry for all the malfunctions this morning. I don't know what the hell's going on today, but hopefully we get it. Hello? I don't know what the fuck. Hello?
Convenient and easy. At the time of the Civil War in the 1640s, Londoners depended on coal to heat their homes despite the grime, and coastal shipments grew 20 times between 1550 and 1700. And of course, coal, with improvements in coal technology in the way of burning it and using it, came to dominate the industrial landscape of Britain. And it could arguably be said that coal was one